Oh, hey guys. Alright. Yep. Um, yeah. So, anyhow, just doing a video. This is for entertainment and education purposes only. Any and everything I say could be wrong. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Nothing. There's no reason for me to be doing a video. No reason at all. Yeah. So, just been working. Just been working, you know. Working with others. Working with others, you know. You know how that goes. You know how that can be. People are very complex. You know. So I just do the best I can, you know. You got all different types of personalities, you know. You got assholes and, you know, you got whatever. Yeah, you know how it goes. It's just like in the world. You go out into the world, you know. You know, what if your parents were fucking assholes? You were born and, you know, you don't get to choose your parents, right? What if your parents were just total pieces of shit? Well, then you're fucked. Oh, but then, you know, the problem with being born into a scumfuck family is, well, first of all, you don't get to choose your parents, you know. And beyond that, the saying goes, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So the sins of the forefathers, the sins of our fathers. So if I was born into a scumfuck family and my parents were just total pieces of shit, well, the apple won't fall far from the tree. I guess it's like that Alice in Chains song where he says, oh shit, I forgot the lyrics. Something about, you know, uh, not wanting to be like my dad, and then when I grow up, I end up being just like him, you know, whatever. Yeah, what if you were, man, that would be a rough life if you were born into a family where your parents were just total fucking assholes and pieces of shit. That'd be a rough life, you know. I mean, who else? Then you have nobody. You have nobody. But whatever, what are you gonna do, you know? So, anyways, yeah, I'm just working, and you know, I have to interact with these different personalities. I have, let's see, my coworkers, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coworkers, my boss and my boss's wife. And if you ever had a job, you know what it's like to work around 5 other people. You ever had a job where you have about 5 or 6 coworkers? You have, haven't you? You may have. Yeah. Then you know what that's like, right? You know what it's like. You know how it goes, you know. Yeah. So then you get off of work, right? Then you got to deal with everyone else. All these other people. This is a problem. It reminds me of the Charles M. Schulz quote. You know Charles M. Schulz? He drew Snoopy and Charlie Brown and stuff. He was the, what do they call a cartoon artist? He drew Snoopy, Charlie Brown. Charles M. Schulz said, "I love humankind. It's people I can't stand." I wonder why he said that. I'm sure he was totally wrong in saying that. There is no truth in that statement. You know? To say something like that, I love humankind, it's people I can't stand. How rude, you know? It's pretty rude. He's probably mentally ill, you know? Sounds like a sounds like he was a antisocial, which antisocials, that's in the same category as narcissists and psychopaths. But you know, it's always the narcissists and psychopaths that become famous and become politicians, and they're always in the spotlight. And everybody loves what they do. It's always narcissists and psychopaths. Well, according to the conspiracy theorists. But there's a popular meme that circulates in certain echo chambers that says that the conspiracy theorists were right. I wonder how true that is. I wonder how true Charles M. Schultz's quote is. Like, humankind, to love humankind is justified. But people just fucking suck. That's all there is. They just suck. That's all there is to it, you know. Some people suck more than others, but whatever. In San Francisco, you know what they say in San Francisco? If at first you don't succeed, keep sucking. As I suck on this cigarette, you know. I'm such a hypocrite. You know what I mean? So anyways, yeah, I'm just working. But it's all coming to a close soon enough. Then I'll get a little bit of a break before I get back to the next job. Yep. So anyhow, what else? Not much else is going on. I guess this Israel-Palestine thing is still going on. Well, thank God, because now we have something to distract us from any potential meaningful thing that could be going on in our country, in our state, in our city, in our town. Now we have an excuse to not really pay attention to what's going on around us, because there's a big thing going on in that galaxy far, far away. Israel and Palestine. Some babies' body parts are flying all over the place. Still. How long has this been going on now? All of our lives? Never seems to end, does it? Kind of reminds me of that Slayer song. Slayer did a song about endless wars. You know? Just never ends. And there's always some political party to blame for it. So. Yep. Always. So, I mean, whatever, right? Whatever. I'm more into philosophy than I am into facts. Partially because people are so full of shit. People will say anything and claim it to be a fact. So much so that it's just kind of like philosophy is potentially the better choice. Like Occam's razor. You know why Occam's razor was invented? Because everybody is so full of shit. You have to come up with a method to filter out all this bullshit. Like people will make statements and claim them to be facts, and they're just totally false. All the time, everywhere, always, nonstop. And Occam, I believe, is the philosopher's name who came up with the Occam's razor equation, which is basically like, in order to filter out all the bullshit from anything that's potentially factual and true, is the most simple answer is most likely to be correct. You know, it's like that. There's a saying in the music world: "Keep it simple, stupid." You know, it's a It's a acronym. Kiss, the band Kiss, I believe, stole that acronym from because that's a common saying in the world of music. Keep it simple, stupid. Because like musicians always want to overcomplicate everything because they think it'll make their song sound better. The more complicated their song is, the better it'll sound. When really the opposite is true. If you just write simple songs, you know, they're more pleasing to the general audience, and that's the whole point of being in a band is to entertain the audience. I mean, generally speaking, you can be in a band that is self-serving, and there isn't really necessarily anything wrong with that. And it can actually work if people like it. Where if I'm just writing songs that I like, and then going out and performing them, and it just so happens that there's a certain type of audience that really likes that. Well, then I'm having my cake and eating it too. But more often than not, that's just not the case. But yeah, no, the most simple ideas are the best. The most simple explanations are most likely to be the correct explanation. It's like Copernicus. If you ever heard of the term Copernicus circles, if you've ever heard, that's a term that comes from astronomy, the study of the stars and planets and stuff, right? And Copernicus circles is a term that came about because there was a scientist during the time of what's the guy that got locked up and imprisoned for most of his life because he was able to provide factual evidence that the Earth revolves around the sun. What was that guy's name? Who cares? It's all probably bullshit anyways, but whatever. So Copernicus was a scientist who tried to prove that planets like Mercury, for example, like the planet Mercury, that the planet wasn't on a steady trajectory in a rotation around the sun. Copernicus tried to prove that Mercury and other planets, when they were in motion, that they would actually stop and they would start traveling the opposite direction. So like Mercury in retrograde. The scientific study of astronomy claims that Mercury in retrograde is an optical illusion. And that's because of the way the planets rotate and stuff. So like because the Earth spins and then rotates around the sun while it's spinning, it creates an optical illusion that Mercury stops its path and starts going in the reverse, when really it's an optical illusion because of the spinning Earth revolving around the sun. And so, but see, Copernicus didn't believe that Mercury revolved around the sun. And Copernicus tried to explain how Mercury in retrograde is actually Mercury. Mercury stops in the sky and then starts moving in the opposite direction. And which is a fair enough, it's like, okay, all right, so please explain this, Copernicus. And when Copernicus, the scientist, went into explaining how Mercury actually stops in the middle of its trajectory and starts traveling in the opposite direction, when he starts explaining it, like, it doesn't make any sense because it just goes on and on and on. Like the explanation, Copernicus's explanation for Mercury's movement in the sky, it was like you have to do so many like mental gymnastics in order to that it became a joke. The famous scientist Copernicus became a mockery, and that's where the term Copernicus circles comes from. It's like somebody trying to explain something that isn't true, and when you listen to them, they just go on and on, it's like it's like watching the Battle of Europa. It just goes. The Battle of Europa is this supposed factual documentary that explains how it's the Jews, right? And it's like a 13-hour documentary, and it's so fucked up. Like there's so many just bold-faced lies in it that it's retarded. One that I recently discovered, bold-faced lie that's in. I mean, I won't even watch. I'm not going to sit and watch a 13-hour documentary like that. That's where Occam's razor applies. Like if it takes you a 13-hour documentary to explain something, you are full of shit, dude. Like your whole theory is garbage. You should be able to explain it in simple terms rather than a 13-hour documentary that goes on and on and on. Should be able to explain it in simple terms. Like, where's the simple explanation? Like, if you're going to tell me it's the Jews, provide me with a simple, compelling explanation for it. And if you can't, then I'm moving on because I got better things to do with my time in my life, than waste it listening to you, whose only reason for telling me it's the Jews is self-serving, so that you can it's some gotcha moment where you feel like you've proven someone else wrong and yourself right. When really, you're full of shit anyways, and I just wasted 13 hours of my time. Like, fuck off. See, all I'm doing is bullshit right now. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. You can believe whatever the fuck you want. Like, I don't care. But see, that's what I mean. Like, philosophy is superior to like. I mean, it's the superior approach, because the main reason is because everybody's full of shit. Everybody's full of shit. Everybody thinks they know everything, and they make the most ridiculous claims. And so because everyone's so like the majority of everyone is so full of shit, you have to have some way to filter out, like, okay, there's so much bullshit everywhere. Is there a quick, effective way where I can eliminate a bunch of this bullshit so that I can get closer to the truth and the facts? Yeah. It's called Occam's razor. The most simple explanation is most likely to be the true explanation. The most simple explanation is most likely to be the factual truth on any given matter. So whatever. Anyways, I'm just bullshitting. I should probably turn the camera off, but I should probably quit while I'm ahead. But where's the fun in that? You know what I mean? What are we, 18 minutes in? Yeah, maybe we'll end it there, because I hear people complaining about long videos. But if you set this at ×2 speed, it's only 10 minutes long. So anyhow, see you, boys.